Oh, guys, what a race! What a race around Daytona International Speedway. I can't believe what I've just witnessed. The Coke Zero 400 absolutely delivered. A hugely eventful race. We had several big one crashes and also a shock winner that has well and truly just shaken up the playoff picture going into the final round before the playoffs next week. But yeah, I'm going to do my best, guys. Here are 5 things that we learned from the Coke Zero Sugar 400 from Daytona, Florida. I mean, yeah, I'll be honest with you, straight off the bat, this will probably not be 5 things. I think this is going to be 6 things because I can't summarise the race into just 5 things. There's just so much going on. First of all, Josh Berry, he got his best ever Cup Series start. I think he started in 4th position for the race yesterday in Daytona. And thanks to help from Chris Buescher as well, he won stage 1 just ahead of Joey Logano. That is surprisingly Josh Berry's first ever stage win in the NASCAR Cup Series as well, so good for him. That's great to see that. We had our first big one in stage 2. Easily a dozen cars caught up in this. A lot of people eliminated. The big guy that was eliminated in this was Denny Hamlin. Yeah, a very bad weekend for him after he got that point deduction earlier in the week as well. He ends up getting knocked out of Daytona relatively early too. I mean, he's safe. He's not going to miss out on the playoffs. He's still 8th overall in the Cup Series standings after that. The cause of this crash seemed to be, surprise, surprise, Corey LaJoie. I know, shock. Never saw that coming. I mean, it's tough around Daytona, to be fair, because of the speed you're doing, but it did seem as though he tried giving a push to Noah Gragson, and unfortunately, it was just a bit too much. It was a bit misplaced. Gragson might not have been expecting it, and yeah, it went around, and then it was all caught up in that. Thankfully, no serious injuries there, which is always a good thing at the end of the day. Then we also had, at the end of the stage 2, it was Joey Logano who won that. Some fantastic teamwork between him and Ryan Blaney to draft each other, to give each other a bit of a boost to win the 3rd stage there. The next thing, the 4th thing, Michael McDowell, he was spun out by the number 2. I think that's Ryan Blaney. I do apologise if I get the numbers mixed up. I do forget them sometimes, but yeah, Logano collected McDowell, and the pile-up ensued from there. It was a massive one, really. Yeah, but that was not the end of the crashing. That was not the end. Not by a long way. Not by a long way. The 5th thing, the 3rd big one, and this one the scariest of the lot for me because of what happened to Josh Berry. He was getting pushed. I think it was McDowell again who was involved in this one. I'm not blaming McDowell by any means. I need to see the incident again just to be sure, because to be honest, I was going crazy when I was watching the highlights of this race because it was on quite late here in the UK, so I never was going to catch it live. But yeah, Josh Berry, he basically got flipped over, spun around, hit the inside barrier of Daytona, upside down while he was that as well. You know, I mean, yeah, thankfully he was all right. They managed to get him out. It's quite an awkward one to extract the driver from a car that is upside down like that. Yeah, I mean, just all kinds of craziness happens. I'll go and mention to Daniel Suarez, who his car came into the pits on fire at the end of stage 1 before going to stage 2. And Shane Van Gisbergen, he's been announced as someone who's going to be in the Cup Series full-time next year, which is fantastic for him, but he had a massive engine failure. That surprisingly didn't cause a crash because it just littered the entire track with white smoke. And then for the end of the race, the 6th thing that we learned, there was barely anybody left at that point. There was a bunch of drivers. I mean, even before the 3rd and final big one, there was a lot of drivers up at the front of the field that were without a win this season. And you know how the playoff system works. If you win, you're in, unless you cheat like some people did. We're not going to get into that now. I've already done a video about that. But yeah, I mean, incredible how there was so many, so few people left. And Kyle Busch was one of them. Kyle Busch was looking for his first win at Daytona since 2008. He was leading. He was leading onto the final lap. But none other than Harrison Burton, who even after this win is 34th overall in the standings. He got a boost. He got an amazing push from Parker Retzlaff, who I'll be honest, I've barely even heard of the guy. He's not someone who ever troubles the upper echelons of the sport. He got a great push from him, and Burton gets his first ever Cup Series win around Daytona. What did I say in my preview, guys? It's the lottery. It's the lottery. And then it proves it again. An incredible race in the end. I feel for Kyle Busch. He's still not got a win this season. But because of that result, he does go up to 16th, so he's still got a chance of getting into the playoffs. But it does get a lot harder because Harrison Burton with that win in the Coke Zero, that'll be a moment that he will never forget for the rest. It doesn't matter what the rest of his career is like. He will never forget this moment. He's in the playoffs because of that. That basically means that we will have, I believe you'll have to realistically be in the top 14 unless you have won a race this season. You have to be in the top 13 because Logano has dropped down to P15 overall in the standings. I will go through the playoff picture heading into the final round next week, of course, but for now, yeah, Harrison Burton wins the Coke Zero Sugar 400 around Daytona, Florida. Unbelievable. 6 things that we learned. I've broke the format. Burton's broke the form book with that one. His highest finish before that this season was 10th place. So yeah, there we go, guys. 5 things that we learned, which really 6 things that we learned. What do you think about this race? I think it's probably the best race of the season. It's got to be, hasn't it? It's got to be up there at least. And yeah, I'll bring you a full preview for next weekend's race. I'll give you a preview of the playoff picture as well, what's likely to happen, and everything in between. And I'll see you very soon, guys, here on the NASCARchronicle.com.